Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to the CDO Magazine interview series. My name is Clyde Gillard from Hewlett Packard Enterprise. I am the North American go-to-market leader for AI for what we call industry accounts. And today I have the pleasure of speaking with Amlan Maitra, the Senior Vice President and Head of Enterprise Data at one of the best known companies on the planet, and that's PepsiCo.
Clyde, thank you for the introduction. And I wanted to also take the opportunity to thank you and the CDO Magazine for this opportunity to have this discussion this morning.
You know, it wouldn't be a good conversation unless you had a success story or something you could point to that says, yeah, we went through this process, all the things I just discussed with you, Clyde, and we came out with this outcome. We came out with this benefit for the company. Do you have one you could share with everyone in terms of what you went through and how it's being applied and some sort of return that was beneficial for your customers or your company? And I'm curious to have a feather in your cap. What would that be?
Yeah. So I think we're at the stage as many large corporations are and many in the industry are where, like I said, for our entire value chain, we're looking at how AI can augment and really, really enable the vision that the company has. But I think one area where we're starting to see real value, and it may not be a super exciting use case, but I think it is something that I feel very excited about. We see real value in the world of reporting and insights. So use cases where we have reports created today. By the way, every organization, every large organization, we have thousands of reports that frankly no one uses, as you know, right? So they're created, and then eventually they just die on the vine, right? So we're actively moving towards what we call, from a paradigm standpoint, dialoguing with data, right? So think of AI for BI, right? That's how we often refer to, and in the industry refers to these sorts of capabilities, where we have conversational chatbots, right, on top of highly curated data. And this is, again, why this investment in the data foundation is paying off, right? So we have highly curated data that is cross-functional in nature. And now if you have the ability to create a really good semantic layer, right? So it's often a knowledge graph-based semantic layer that now has, proper business metadata. It has got proper glossary, good lineage, and then you create an ontology on top of that. So that then allows for, in simple language and natural language, questions to be asked as opposed to creating bespoke reports, which frankly, again, after one or two use cases, people move away from. Right. So this is the paradigm we are starting to see real pull from our business partners. And they're really hungry for a capability like this. So we're starting to see the application of this kind of a capability across all of our functional areas. So be it in supply chain, be it in consumer, commercial, et cetera. So I feel like, this is really starting to have a true impact. So to your point about, where are we really seeing, tangible benefits? We're starting to see tangible benefits of business partners and the pull that they're coming with for a capability like this.
It's funny when I do conversations and presentations, sometimes, you tell people they want to apply AI to everything. And sometimes you can solve a problem with a spreadsheet, right? You don't really need AI for everything. So the fact that you have this methodology put together, which is just fantastic to hear, by the way, and you have a way to evaluate these new structures, and you have this centralized data put together, it sounds like you've really got it's kind of all in front of you now, which is great. I guess my next question, where do you see this going? Especially with agentic AI, so many people are starting to think about how agents can change their business. I heard the term the other day, IT will be the new HR department, because rather than hiring people, you'll be onboarding agents. You still have to do the same thing, right? This is our policy. This is your job. So agentic AI is really starting to take off so long as you have the data foundations. I guess a future statement, help us look over the horizon, at least from a PepsiCo perspective. where do you see this going? Like where are you in 2 years? What are we talking about then? How are industries and enterprises deploying AI, agentic AI in particular, assuming your data foundations are correct? Bring us to the future. Where do you see this going?
That's a interesting question, and also a question which is, I think, incredibly difficult to answer. Right, just given the pace of innovation that we're seeing in this space, right? So things change. I would say, every couple of weeks. But I'm trying to also, stay abreast and absorb all of the developments that are coming out. But if I reflect on this, I think we are on this progression uh, from traditional AI, or call it narrow AI, to generative AI, right? Where a lot of the initial use cases were around, and many of the use cases even still leveraging generative AI is around driving efficiency, right? To your point about the leveraging of now these agentic AI frameworks, where you have agents that have autonomous perception, they have capabilities to do decision making, and finally take some action, right? And interacts with other agents in an ecosystem to, I think, ultimately progressing into the realm of, and in particularly in the context of manufacturing, warehousing, into the world of physical AI and robots, right? That are autonomous. So things like self-driving cars, uh, intelligent robots in manufacturing, for example, which I think will lead to an ecosystem of highly intelligent and autonomous systems working with each other, right? So I think that's probably, in my opinion, and from what I am seeing, is the world that we are sort of progressing towards. So I think in the near future, the agentic AI seems like very exciting capability, which will yield tremendous efficiencies to existing business processes,
Mhm.
clearly, while also impact every part of our value chain by reimagining business processes. I think that's the key word there. I think it'll allow us to reimagine business processes and workflows from the ground up. And that then would perhaps lead into new business models coming to the fore. It is how I sort of look at it. Also, you'll have to rethink the whole employee of the future, right? I mean, if you think about it, and when, to your point, what sorts of skill sets do successful employees need to have when the threshold for knowledge is significantly lowered, right? Now you have agents that have foundational models powering them, right? So the bar for knowledge is lowered. And so the onus will be, I think, on people who are able to put together the right set of agents orchestrated in the right workflows, right? So those are the kinds of skills and people, and as I think future employees, as opposed to what we see currently or in the past as traditional skill sets. So it just feels exciting talking about it, and the possibilities that even maybe in the next 2 to 3 years that might become reality. But to bring it home though, from where we started off this conversation, all of this is still highly dependent on data and good data, right? And that is why I think companies that want to be AI ready and AI differentiated, I feel need to be data ready and data mature in order to truly harness the benefits of AI.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. As the consequences of agentic AI to physical AI are much more significant. In the early days, if you got your data wrong and you had a bad outcome, maybe you misinterpreted data. That's one thing, but you can't get payroll wrong. You can't get your financials wrong, and you can't have a robot driving through the warehouse, incorrectly. So fundamental data becomes more and more important as we progress through this journey of AI. And it's great to hear that you have the methodology at PepsiCo to get all that done. So this has been terrific. I really enjoy the insight. I thank you very much, Amlan, for your time and for joining me today. And for more interviews and more insights, CDO Magazine Tech does this often. So please visit that site to get more detail. And thank you so much for your time. I appreciate the opportunity to get your insights today.
Thank you very much for having me, and thank you for the opportunity.